we are back, and we are about to talk about one of the most fantastic things we have here at Amazon. Well, at least my favorite, so I'm biased. I can be biased. It is about serverless. And I am joined today, I'm very honored to be joined today, from some guys from the serverless product group, service team. I'm going to let them introduce yourselves so you guys can be honored with me. All right, guys, who are you? Tell us what you're here for.
Sure, my name is James Hood. I'm a senior developer at Amazon. Been with the company about 8 years, and I'm the tech lead of the AWS Serverless Application Repository.
Excellent.
I'm Sanat. I'm one of the engineers on the AWS Serverless organization. I build products to make it easier for developers and be more productive about building serverless applications. I build SAM. Definition for your serverless application. I also built SAM local CLI to run the SAM applications locally so you can build, test, and deploy from your computer.
All right, so we're talking about one of my favorite topics, and because it's one of my favorite topics, you guys talk to me about serverless every time I see you, whether it's on Twitch, whether it's in person. So here is where we're going to get your answers for. So the first thing I'm going to ask is a question you guys ask me all the time. So serverless, you guys just really mean Lambda, right?
Well, no, actually. So with serverless is a family of technologies where you don't have to worry about host management. So the details like making sure your hosts are patched and up to date with the latest security updates, worrying about if you have issues with availability zone or auto-scaling your hosts, those concerns are managed fully by AWS. So that's serverless technologies. A serverless application is a full application that's made up of these resources where you don't have to manage. So AWS Lambda handles the compute side. Amazon API Gateway allows you to have REST APIs, but there's also Amazon DynamoDB and Amazon S3, services that have been around a really long time. You don't worry about host management with those services, so they all fall into that same category.
I'm glad you cleared it up, because every time I talk about it, or go somewhere we're talking about serverless, the first thing people go is, oh, so you need the Lambda stuff. Like, you know, it's bigger than Lambda. And so another question I get a lot, and I got the right guys to talk to you guys about this on, is, okay, so I get the serverless thing, but what is SAM local, what does SAM do? What does it have to do with Lambda? What does it have to do with serverless? So you guys are the ones that can answer this officially for you guys.
Yeah, so as James said, serverless is a family of services that you use together to build your applications in a certain way. And so when you start to build a serverless application, you don't think about which service to employ, but you think about your architecture of your application, right? So you think, okay, I probably need a web service application, so I need an HTTP endpoint and some code to process that. And so that translates to the services that you want to use. And so you can use SAM to define the architecture of your application in terms of the services you want to use. For example, you can say, I want a Lambda function, I want to connect the Lambda function to my API gateway endpoint, and you probably want a table for it behind the scenes, and then you can use SAM local CLI, which is a CLI tool. It's a companion tool that you can use to build and test your applications locally, and also package and deploy it to the cloud. So SAM and SAM local together kind of helps you build your end-to-end workflow of your serverless application.
All right, so now these guys know what SAM and SAM local is. You know the next question. So wait, I thought CloudFormation template does that. What's that about?
So it's a very good question. So CloudFormation is a service that will help you provision the infrastructure for you, for the resources for you. SAM is a higher level abstraction on top of CloudFormation. On my screen, I have the SAM Github repository. SAM was launched in 2016, and the specification was there on GitHub. There was a lot of active participation from the community around it, and the whole idea is that SAM simplifies CloudFormation for you. It's higher level abstraction, specifically focused on serverless. CloudFormation does a lot more than that, and SAM is specifically focused on serverless.
Fantastic, so this is great, and we're talking about it, and they get it now, hopefully, but you know, we're developers, so I want to see something. You got something we can actually see? Let's get down and dirty, let's see something. What you got for us?
Definitely. I want to show some code that I've built
code is good.
For SAM.
Okay.
But before we do that, I have an exciting announcement.
Ah.
Yeah. That's the big news. So I talked a bit about the SAM GitHub repository, a very active community with a lot of participation from people asking questions, sending us pull requests, even people proposing a lot of features in here. And one of the first questions that somebody asked was, can we look at the SAM implementation, which is, can we look at how SAM works behind the scenes? And they asked us to open source SAM, and today I am super excited to announce that we have officially open sourced the underlying SAM translator implementation.
Yay!
Yes.
And
all right.
thank
So what,
you.
are you doing this live?
Yes, I'm doing this live because I maintain the GitHub repository, and I want to close this issue. I've been wanting to close this issue since morning, and this is the time to do it for me.
Live,
Thank you, Will.
we are doing Stone GitHub live. Pull requests, close, answer your question live. I love this. This is cool.
So this is really exciting because before the specification for SAM was open source, so people could issue pull requests, but those pull requests were really feature requests.
Yeah.
They didn't have the capability to go in and actually make that happen. When you upload your SAM template to CloudFormation, the transform was still hidden, and now it's
no
open
more
source.
hiding. Open source. We
Yes.
love you. Yes. Draws for Kittens is right. We are making history live on Twitch right now. This is what I'm talking about. This is the kind of show we like. So, how about that?
Is that issue closed?
Is
That
this
issue is
officially
closed.
closed?
Yes.
That
Okay,
is
okay.
officially closed.
We're doing things live here.
One issue down, but a lot more issues to come.
But now you can help us.
Hey, we're being happy now. We closed one.
Yeah.
We're being happy now.
But we've just extended our team now to the open source community.
Voila. You guys are now a part of the serverless team. You did it before I did. I don't know how you feel about that, but you guys are now a part of the serverless team, and that is fantastic. So now that we have officially closed the pull requests, you're going to show us something else, Cole?
Definitely.
All right.
So I'm going to talk about how SAM works in general.
Okay.
And to do that, let's first look at a SAM app that I built last night. So
Last night. So you were up last night building a skill live for. This is what I'm talking about. Live. We get people building stuff just for right now. Okay. Go ahead.
Definitely. So I recently learned from a colleague that AWS released an Alexa skill where you can ask it what's new in AWS, and it'll tell you what's new, what's the new services it launched. And so I thought, why not build that for SAM?
Nice.
And so I built a Alexa skill that'll answer what's new with SAM using SAM.
Okay.
All right.
What's new with Sam? Building it with Sam.
Yeah.
It's a little meta.
Yeah.
It's a little meta. I like meta. All right, so what you see on the screen is a SAM template. It's essentially a YAML template that defines the resources I need for my serverless application.
Okay.
In this case, it's an Alexa skill. And so I have a AWS serverless function. For folks that are familiar with CloudFormation, you would recognize the structure of it. And so SAM exposes new resources. One of it is AWS serverless function, which is a higher level resource than the Lambda function that you know about. What this does, behind the scenes, it goes provisions a Lambda function for you. It provisions an IAM role that has the tightest permissions to just run this Lambda function. And it also sets up an event source so that Alexa can call this function.
Okay, wait, you gotta go. That was a lot.
That was
Do
a
it
lot.
one more time.
Yeah.
So what all will it set up for us? Do it one more time.
All right, so it's got three things by just defining a serverless function and an Alexa event. So behind the scenes, it creates a Lambda function for you.
Lambda,
It
got it.
contains your code.
Yep.
And it also sets up an IAM execution role.
Give you permissions.
Exactly.
Okay.
So permissions for your Lambda to make calls outside
Yep.
to other services. And it also sets up permissions on the Lambda for event sources, in this case, Alexa, to invoke the Lambda function.
Oh, everything we need.
So I think, and I think one thing that might help visualize is if we did this without SAM, and we wanted to do this with just native CloudFormation, because this template's pretty simple and easy to read, and this one, okay, so there's just a lot more resources here.
There's just a lot more, and CloudFormation is super powerful because it can pull together the entire suite of AWS services into one template.
But if I'm really targeting serverless, I have now.
You got to use SAM.
All right, let's see it.
Yeah.
All right.
So this is the CloudFormation template, and here's a simple SAM template. And my code is super simple. It's using the Alexa SDK to just return one thing of what's new today.
Okay.
So the way how you would use this is first package up your code. So what this does behind the scenes is now your code is in your computer. The package command takes what's in the computer, uploads to S3, and prepares a zip file that you can then deploy to Lambda.
Okay.
And then you use the SAM deploy command to deploy the Lambda function via CloudFormation. for those of you that are not familiar with the SAM command, it's the SAM local CLI that I'm using here. So, as I said originally, SAM has a companion CLI, it's a SAM local CLI. I've installed it on my machine. I can use it to run my Lambda functions locally, build test them, and I can go package and deploy them to the cloud.
Okay, so I'm going to stop you really quickly because it's important. I get this all the time, so I'm going to say it one more time. Difference between SAM and SAM local. So right now, without connectivity, anything else, you can, well, I kind of know the answer is kind of cheating, but
you can run the functions on your computer without internet.
Right.
So it's completely local. It's running on a Lambda environment that is on your local computer created using a Docker container. So it's high fidelity in the sense that it's essentially running on Lambda, but on your computer. And it gives you the fast development cycle. So you can even set breakpoints and debug it. So you can essentially, if you have bugs and stuff, you can debug with a regular, just like how you would do on a non-Lambda app, for example.
Yeah.
Right.
And then SAM, of course, is then your actual
definition of your application. So the way I think about SAM and SAM local together is, I had this idea, the light bulb moment of creating the Alexa skill. I fire up my editor, write a SAM template to kind of visualize my idea, and then I use SAM local to test it locally, and I use SAM local to deploy to the cloud. So essentially I've gone from an idea to a realization using SAM first and then SAM local as a companion tool for me.
Yeah, and that SAM template, we have a lot of different integrations with it. You can also then, in a CI/CD environment, you can use Code Deploy and Code Pipeline in order to then package up and deploy in an automated fashion. And then also with the new AWS Serverless Application Repository, we have tight integration with SAM as well. So if you want to share your serverless app, or for people who are just getting started with serverless and want to understand how it works and play around with serverless applications, the repository has public open source applications where you're able to quickly deploy the application to your account. You actually don't even need to use the SAM CLI. You'll be able to see the SAM template for that, deploy it. You don't have to worry about code packaging or anything. So deploy those to your account. You can play with them. You can look at the source code because it's open source. And it's a really great way to introduce yourself to serverless and then with SAM, and then also to share applications that you build.
And with cool projects to get you started. I think that was what was powerful for me about it. There's cool projects to get you started. All right, so what do we have going on with this skill here?
Now the SAM template is deployed. I'm going to go to the Alexa skill console. I've already set up the skill and the Lambda integrations right, so it's fast. Let's ask SAM, what's new?
All right, are we running? Haha.
Today is an exciting day. We're open sourcing the SAM implementation.
Yay! Oh, this is really cool. So, okay, so if I wanted to go, I could create a SAM app that maybe uses Alexa smart home skill, for example, in order to trigger my Lambda function as well.
Nice.
Unfortunately, right now you can't, because SAM only supports Alexa skill event source today. What I mean by that, what I mean by that is event source on the SAM template on my screen here connects your Alexa skill to trigger this Lambda function, and Smart Home is a different service, right? And so we have to give special permissions for Smart Home to call this Lambda function, and you cannot do that with the shorthand notation in SAM.
The way it is today.
The way it is today, right?
So we have to go back to CloudFormation and write all those out?
Not really. Oh. Here's where our open source SAM translator implementation makes you more productive, because now you can go and add a Alexa Smart Home event source to our implementation, and send us a pull request on GitHub. We'll review it and accept and release it. Now you can create Alexa Smart Home applications with SAM.
Oh, that'd be cool. Okay,
nice.
I like pull requests. Pull requests is my thing. Okay.
Yeah, you know what? I've been telling a lot of people to go send pull requests, and I think I should show some action here.
Okay.
Let me go ahead and do this.
Put your money where your mouth is, right?
Yeah, right.
Right.
Let me go ahead and actually create the Alexa Smart Home event source in SAM and send a pull request today. Right now. Yes, for sure. I had other things prepared for the demo, but I'm going to take a different turn here because it's more exciting.
Okay. Well, and this will be good too, because then our audience, because again, anybody can come and contribute to this, so so that way we can see how to get started.
Yeah.
That sounds like a challenge to me, guys, in the audience. He said anybody, so.
Yeah,
Right.
and Twitch viewers, I want you guys to go and code review my code after I send a pull request. If Twitch can play Pokemon, I'm sure you can do code reviews.
Yeah.
All right.
Be harsh on those code reviews.
All right, so the SAM translator implementation, which is the code that runs behind the scenes that converts a SAM template to a CloudFormation template. So when I said I deploy my SAM app using CloudFormation, what happens behind the scenes is there is a logic that runs that takes in my SAM template and essentially spits out a CloudFormation template that I showed you a while back.
Okay.
Right? And so this CloudFormation template is what is being used by the CloudFormation engine to go and deploy or provision the resources for you. And so what we've open sourced today is this piece of code that converts SAM template to CloudFormation.
Nice, okay.
Great.
Excellent.
It's a simple Python package, and with all Python packages, you have the source code, and we call the SAM translator, and you have a test package. So let's open up the source code, and inside the models directory, which is where all the SAM models live, I'm going to go to the event source.
And this is, we are actually live going to enable this smart home and you do this pull request? I like this.
Yep.
You're my kind of guy. Let's do it.
Living on the edge.
On the edge.
On the edge. All right, so this is my Alexa skill event source that I have in SAM. And if you look at it, when I told originally that there's some permissions that is being added to the Lambda function, what I really meant is Lambda is given permission for Alexa to invoke the function, right? And the way you do that is using this thing called principal. And the principal is essentially, think of it as an identity. When Alexa calls Lambda, it says, hey, I am Alexa skill. And the way they do that is using the string called Alexa appkit.amazon.com.
Okay.
And so smart home is just a different principle. It's the same structure, so I just need to give permissions to a different principle here. And so let me create a new class. Let's name this smart home. And I want my event source type to be called smart home. And I know this by heart. Don't ask me how.
I don't have that one memorized.
Yeah, I know this by heart. So it's called Alexa Connected Home. That's the identity for smart home to connect to Lambda. All right.
Okay, so we have the resource type. So you have a new resource type that. And this is what SAM will recognize as your event source?
It's called an event type. That's the term we use in SAM.
Okay.
So the resource in this case is essentially going to be my function, like Lambda function. And an event is what triggers the function. And in this case, in Alexa Smart Home. And I've said, use the string to identify an Alexa Smart Home and accept that event source.
Okay.
So while you're doing this, don't stop. I have more questions. I thought about it. So what if I wanted to do this for some particular thing that I wrote? Let's pretend like it's something that maybe runs on AWS, but it has another particular model. Let's say I built a device that does something different, and I want to enable SAM to talk to this device to deploy it in an AWS environment, something around it. Can I do this by doing that? What he's doing, this pull request, can I do my own, let's pretend like it didn't work for AWS.
Like a custom event source.
A customer, right,
so,
a customer.
Or like a custom event source that's not necessarily straight from AWS service.
Exactly.
Yeah, so there's a couple examples. There's two ways to do it. One is we could try to make SAM understand that directly. That's actually a place where the serverless application repository comes in. There are actually already apps that turn Twitter search into an event source for Lambda.
Right. Yep.
And so you can just install that app and then you point it at whatever your Lambda function is that you want it to call, you put in your search terms, and then all of a sudden your Lambda starts getting invoked. So that's another great use of the serverless application repository.
So, and the reason why I asked that is that's another question I get all the time, and quite frankly, it's a question I have myself. Oh, I want Lambda to get triggered by this event source. It's not one we support natively, but I want to build something to have that trigger. And so this is why I think I'm really digging the repo. And how can people do the same thing? Because obviously I'm working on it, and you've had experience on it while he's busy doing this live, which I love. Tell people out there just one more time, how would they do it? Like if I wanted to put something in the repo, I have a custom event trigger that I want other people to be able to use. Twitter is a great example. We probably already have Slack. I can't think of something else, but something else cool you guys want to do.
Absolutely.
How would they do it?
So to get started with the serverless application, you start with SAM, and you develop your serverless application. You use SAM local to test it, and then you can deploy it to a test account to make sure that it works. Now, once you've packaged that, the serverless application repository natively understands SAM. So you can use either the serverless repo has CLI, has SDK, and we also have a publisher console in the AWS console, and you can use that to publish your application. And at that point, others will be able to consume it as well. Now, if there's already an application there and you just want to use it, for example, this Twitter event source app, so if you go to our search, you can either search via the public website, so the serverless repo has a public website, or you can go to the Lambda console, and now when you go to create a new function, it used to be the options were to create a function from scratch or to create one from Blueprint. Now there's a third option that's create from the serverless application repository, and you can search in the console for the apps and deploy the app to your account straight from there.
So you're saying I need to get busy?
That's what I'm saying.
So let's go back to the screen. How's it going over there?
Done?
No way.
Wait, what's done?
What's done, Will? What are you doing?
All right, I'm not going to cheat here.
Okay.
So, watch over my shoulder, be my rubber duck.
Okay.
I did go in and add a event source, which is Alexa Smart Home.
Yep.
Okay.
And I did go in and add a test for my Alexa Smart Home.
So is that pretty standard practice? If somebody wanted to contribute to SAM, they'd be expected to add tests as well?
Exactly. So we have 95% test coverage as a minimum.
Nice.
Okay.
And so if you add code that doesn't meet the minimum, it'll fail.
Yeah.
So existing code, we want 95% coverage, and new code, we want 100% coverage.
Excellent. So this gives, and I think it's important because it also, opening it up to the community is going to do really good things for SAM and for serverless in general, but we also want our customers to have the confidence that these changes going in are well tested, and
yeah, we still want the quality. Yep.
Exactly.
And you guys can do it.
And my test passed, so
yay.
Test passing is good.
I can go in. I push it to my fork, going to create a pull request.
Live pull request, I like it. So at this point, you are going to make this pull request real and live, right now. I don't believe you, let's see.
So I've asked the Twitch audience to give me feedback
on
a pull request. And I will be looking at this pull request all day afternoon, looking for feedback, answering questions, and responding to them. Don't take it light on me.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. We do have a high quality bar for our code, so yeah, no, this is really exciting.
Okay, so we have a couple of questions. So I'm going to take from the Twitch audience while we're doing this. So Draws with Kitchen was Draws with Kittens. What am I saying? I was asking about understanding when you're building a serverless application, how to understand what you're going to put in beta, prod, and test, how you flow through that with your SAM template. Any best practice there you can share about that? She Inquiring Mind wants to know.
Yeah, James, you've built serverless applications in production, so you should talk about it.
Yeah, I've built many serverless applications. Playing around and prototyping with just doing a deploy into an account is a great way to get started, but for an actual production application, you're right, you need a pipeline that can deploy to a test environment and then deploy to your production environment. For me, the best solution is using AWS Code Pipeline, and again, we have tight integration with SAM and both packaging via Code Pipeline and Code Build, and then deployment as well. So I think the important thing is you can use CodeStar. If you want to get started very quickly, you can use CodeStar. It will set up a GitHub repo. It'll set up a code pipeline where every time you push, it'll trigger your code pipeline, it will build your code, and it'll deploy it into your account. And so you can start there, and then the code pipeline is actually defined in a template, right? So you can actually extend your pipeline then and have separate stages for deploying to each individual environment.
Yeah, and I'll also add that when you have beta, gamma, prod, every stack should be identical. Like what is going to prod is what should go to beta.
Yep.
You will run a lot more tests, have more scrutiny there, but they shouldn't be different at all.
So to follow up on our question, she also asked, okay, so we get it, you can do it in the same account. Is it the best practice to do it in different accounts or do it in the same account, just separate beta, prod, and test?
So
yeah.
The right practice is to do it in different accounts, so your beta will not harm your prod resources. But if you're short of time, you can always do the migration later if you want, because it's your beta and gamma, you can kill them and create new ones. Prod is what matters. So at least have one account for beta and gamma and a different account for prod, and so you can migrate them later if you want.
Yeah, but best practice is definitely to separate them because there are account level limits as well, and you wouldn't want your test stack to start incurring those account level limits and affect your production stack.
Right. See, live answers just for you. And the pull request is done, and I know that because Chris has shared the pull request link with you on Twitch. Go check it out. It is actually live and actually real.
People are commenting. They're saying there's no unit test.
Yeah? Okay.
Shame on, really? Come on, guys, really? Like, right now we're supposed to write a unit test. I mean, I think we're pretty good, but yeah, really? Like, come on, really? Another question people have out there about SAM, and Chris is kind of doing a great job. Shout out to Chris Munns. They're very fast answering questions. And I know you're going to hate this question. I'm sorry up front. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
All right, let's hear it.
All right, so serverless aren't there servers behind the scenes? I'm reading off the thing. I'm like,
do you care about them? Is the question.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to let you answer. Yeah.
There's definitely, and like we said, serverless technology means that a lot of the issues, really most of the issues around host management are managed by someone else. So it's just that you don't have to care, right? It's
that
okay.
was like painful to really actually ask that outside.
All right, a lot of people are actually commenting on the pull request. I'm super excited about that. And if you guys want to actually participate along with us in the SAM development, there's a Slack channel, #SamDev on the AWS developers team that we have set up. And you can go request access to that and we will grant it to you. If you go to the SAM GitHub repository and go all the way down, there is a call to action for joining the Slack channel. Click on that, it'll take you to a page, fill in details, and you'll be on the Slack channel with us every single day, improving the developer experience for serverless.
Well, okay, 2 more questions, and I know we have limited time, but I got to get these out. Robert Tables asked, so that means when you talk about having in different accounts, beta, test, prod, best practices being different accounts, you mean different accounts, different environments? Robert Tables, I think that's what you're asking. I'm reading your question. What do you build different environments within an account? Do you mean different accounts, or actual physical different accounts? Is what he's asking here.
Yeah, physical different accounts is the best practice. So you have no questions, whether your beta killed your prod, Lambda function or whatever. And different environments in my mind usually is a CloudFormation stack. And so you can stand up a CloudFormation stack, super simple, just with one template, and that gives your beta stack. It should be in a different account.
Okay, and last question, you guys have a Twitter. I know you want these guys to keep talking back to you. Give us all the goodness, the Twitter, the GitHub, the Slack, one more time before we get out of here.
Yeah, so my Twitter is sanatkr_.
Okay, underscore.
Yep, my Twitter handle is JLHCoder, C-O-D-E-R. Okay. And you can find me on Twitter, and then there's links to my website, my blog, and all that.
Slack is SamDev. Request an invite. Go on GitHub, AWS Samples. Check it out. You can always tweet me, Tara W. We can't wait to engage you guys. Thank you for joining us on Twitch. We will be back. We're not leaving you. Coming back soon. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.